Did you know that only 64% of the kids at my school say that they feel a sense of solidarity and connection with their fellow classmates? Now, this lack of solidarity also means a lack of communication. And according to stats, about $25,000 are lost per person per year in productivity losses due to communication barriers. Now, specifically emphasizing on one of the major aspects of our nation and world at large that develop the new breed of new world leaders, education, and primarily high school. Now, in this new day and age, most communication is done by electronics, most specifically social media. Most social media platforms like Snapchat and Instagram are incredibly popular and used by thousands of Americans per day, maybe even millions. Now, one problem with Snapchat and Instagram is that they have a cap on the amount of people in a single group chat. While this is okay for social situations, this doesn't give a great solution to allowing school children to connect with each other, especially with grades with more than 100 and 200 kids. Now, if these kids are not connected with each other and instead rely on apps like Snapchat and Instagram, they form these little cliques. Now, these cliques usually consist of 5 or 10 people, and most of the time, those students, instead of having the perspective and understanding of hundreds of students, they instead, for 4 years, focus on 10 or 5 students. Now, this limits mutual understanding and development as open-minded people in an increasingly multi-internationally minded country and world.
We're NGT Scholarship, and we're gonna show you how we're designing our app and making it in order to solve this problem.
First things first, who are we? My name is Dennis Thomas, and I'm the business analyst.
I'm Hatem El-Mogi, and I'm the software developer and designer. And our project manager is Ala El-Mogi, but she is not in here today.
When students rely on apps like Snapchat and Instagram to talk and communicate information with their friends, this leads to little cliques. And these groups decrease mutual understanding and interaction between students of different cultures and perspectives, because cliques tend to center around students who have the same interests and views about life. Now, what happens to the kids who don't get into these cliques? Well, these students who might be more timid and reserved than the other students in their grade level tend to be left out. This means that they are also left out of information, help, and other useful resources that will help them succeed in high school. Now, the sense of belonging that being in a group gives is incredibly important. This sense of belonging drives people to create extremely beneficial groups like nonprofits and charitable organizations, and incredibly harmful groups like terrorist organizations and criminal gangs. Now that we have asserted the importance of a sense of belonging and the psychology of students, we'll see the practical uses of it in our solution.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't take my word for it, let's ask the kids themselves. So I went around my school asking my IB class if they felt connected and a sense of solidarity with each other. And quite frankly, 14% said no, with 22% saying only somewhat. Now, in addition to this, I also asked them if they use academic help resources like Edmodo and Google Calendar. And a great majority, 92%, said yes, meaning that students do use electronic devices for studying and other school needs. Now, because these are all different applications, we asked them if they really wanted one application that would allow them to access all these different functions at once. And 60% said yes. And obviously, one of their main reasons is because it would save time.
Our solution for solving this problem is creating an app that connects the students with their classmates and teachers, while also providing them with great time management and organization features, such as the ones they use in Google Calendars, Edmodo, or even To-Do List. One of the main features that we are always focused on that may lack from our competitors is having a very user-friendly UI, as well as creating the app to be very responsive while also making it cross-platforms in a shorter period of time.
Thank you, Hatham, for explaining the conclusions that we have gathered at after months of research. Now, you might be wondering, where are we now? Well, I am more than happy to tell you that we are perfectly on time. You see, we spent the beginning of September all through November and the early weeks of December planning out what our app was going to do and how it was going to do it. You see, we needed to make sure that our problem was truly identifiable and that our solution could give the best efficient solve to this problem. Now, I don't want to repeat myself, but I want to say that we spent a lot of time into the conceptualization of this idea, which is why right now we are actually in our design phase. And by the end of January, we will finish our design phase and enter coding, which we plan to finish at the end of February, meaning that we will release our beta at the beginning or end of April. After about 2 months, we'll see the results of our beta. Whoa, I made a mistake there. Let me do that one more time. Three, two, one. Thank you, Hatham, for explaining the months of research that we undertook on gathering the information about the components that we would use to make our app. Now, you might be asking, where are we in the design of our app, in the creation of it? Well, we actually spent a lot of time from the beginning of September all through November and October and the first few weeks of December in conceptualizing our idea and app. Now, you might be wondering, why is this? Well, we think that it's extremely important that we think out and use as much creativity and brain power as we can to sort out all the little tiny bits about our app and make sure that we have a strong foundation before we start into design and coding. Speaking of design, that's where we are right now. And by the end of January, we will be done with design and enter coding, which we will finish by the end of February. Now, as we are done with our coding at the end of February, we will release our beta at the end of April. Now, our beta is to identify mistakes that we will then, with a test release, be able to improve upon, which we will use to fix bugs. And our predicted official release will be around the start of school next year.